Good to be here at Freedom Fest, guys. Love being here with my freedom-loving Americans. This is great. Well, I know many of you, but many of you are seeing me for the first time, so I'll tell you a word about myself. First thing people ask me is, how the heck do I pronounce your name? It's Vivek. It rhymes with cake. I found that most people like cake, so we've gone with that one. I'll tell you, my parents came to this country a little over 40 years ago with almost no money. I've gone on to found multi-billion-dollar companies, from Roivant, the biotech company that I built that developed life-saving medicines, to Strive, which competes against BlackRock today. And I did it while marrying my wife, who's a surgeon. We brought 2 sons into this world. We follow our faith. That's the American dream. And I'm running for president because I am worried that that American dream will not exist for the next generation of Americans unless we step up and do something to preserve it. We're in the middle today of a national identity crisis. Faith, patriotism, hard work, family. These things have disappeared, only to be replaced by new secular religions in America. Wokeism, gender ideology, climatism, COVIDism, depression, anxiety, drug usage, suicide. These are symptoms of a deeper void of purpose and meaning in our country. And I'll tell you this as a member of my generation. I'm a millennial. I'm the first millennial ever to run for U.S. president as a Republican. Thank you. I appreciate that. I'll tell you something about us millennials. I think it's true of all of us. It's definitely true of people my age and younger in this country. We are hungry for a cause. We are hungry for purpose and meaning and identity at a time in our national history when the things that used to fill that void, belief in country, hard work, family, these things have disappeared. That leaves a black hole of a vacuum in its wake. And when you have a black hole that runs that deep, that is when the poison fills the void. That's what's going on in America today. And what I see in the Republican Party, it's what I'm running in as Republican candidate for president, is a movement that has been pretty good at pointing out the problem one at a time. We've always been running from something. But I think that now is our moment to level up and to start running to something, to our vision of what it means to be an American today. That is the question that we ought to answer. Yeah, somebody my age, that question, what does it mean to be an American? You get a blank stare in response. It's like a deer in the headlights moment. That is the question for us now, what it means to be an American today. To me, it means we believe in the ideals that set this nation into motion 250 years ago. Ideals like meritocracy and the pursuit of excellence, that you get ahead in this country, not on the color of your skin, but on the content of your character and your contributions. That is why we should end race-based affirmative action in every sphere of American life. It means we believe, yes, in the rule of law, that if you're like my parents, you do get to come to this country legally through the front door. They followed the rules. They paid their taxes. They did their part. But it also means that your first act of entering this country cannot break the law, because that is what it means to be a nation founded on the rule of law. It means we believe in free speech and open debate, that we don't have a government in this country that uses technology companies to do through the back door what government could not silence through the front door under the Constitution. We believe in free speech. That is what makes us American. It means we believe the people who we elect to run the government, Democrat, Republican, I don't care. The people who we elect to run the government ought to be the ones who at least actually run the government. not this managerial bureaucracy that actually runs the show today. That's what I've said. If you put me in that White House as your president and I cannot collect a paycheck from you all, the taxpayers, for more than 8 years, which I think is a good thing, then neither should any of those federal bureaucrats either. 8-year term limits for the bureaucracy instead of those civil service protections. That's how we drive change. And if there's a government agency that should not exist, I will not make the false promise of telling you that I'll reform that agency. That is a lie. That administrative state, it cannot be reformed. But when an agency should not exist, from the U.S. Department of Education to the FBI, to the IRS, to the ATF, I will not just pledge to reform that agency. We will go in and shut it down. That is how we restore 3 branches of government, not 4 in this country. See, these are not Republican ideas or Democrat ideas. These are not black ideas or white ideas. These are fundamentally American ideals that we fought a revolution in 1776 to secure. That is what it means to be an American. We believe in those 1776 ideals. Let me tell you what's happened in our country today. The best measure of the health of our American civic fabric, American democracy, is the percentage of people who feel free to say what they actually think in public. Right now, we are doing poorly on that metric. We got to close that gap by more of us starting to have the courage to actually speak the truth in the open again. That is what this campaign is about. We're about speaking the truth without apology. That is what we do as Americans. I go around, we will speak the truth. I will share with you my true beliefs. God is real. There are 2 genders. Fossil fuels are a requirement for human prosperity. Reverse racism is racism. An open border is not a border. Parents determine the education of their children. The nuclear family is the best known form of governance to mankind. Capitalism is the best system known to man to lift people up from poverty. There are 3 branches of government in this country, not 4. And the U.S. Constitution is the strongest guarantor of freedom in human history. That is the truth. We stand up for the truth. We do not back down from the truth. That is what won us the American Revolution. That is what will win us the revolution of 2024. I'll tell you, I don't think about even winning the election. That's just a milestone along the way. I think about what I want to be telling you all in January of 2033 when I leave that office. My kids will be not even in high school yet, okay? So we'll be moving on to a new phase of life by then. I don't believe in false promises. There's a lot that the president needs to rely on hundreds of people in Congress to be able to do. This is the stuff of false promises. But there's a few things that I can tell you that I know as President of the United States I'll be able to get done. The first of those is in January of 2033. We will once again in this country have 3 co-equal branches of government rather than an unconstitutional 4th branch of government. We will have reduced the federal employee headcount by over 75% so that once again the people we elect to run the government will be the ones who actually run the government. I will tell you in January 2033 that we are no longer dependent on our enemy, Communist China, for the way that we actually live our lives. The shoes on our feet to the phones in our pockets. We will not be dependent on an adversary for the way we actually live in this country. That's what it means to say that if you're the CCP, you will not deputize our companies, or for that matter, the NBA, as we just heard from Ennis, to be able to advance your political agendas in this country. That is what it means to be sovereign as the United States of America. We'll be growing at 4+% GDP growth again in this country. It's almost as though we've forgotten that economic growth is itself our best way forward. How do we get there? We drill, we frack, we burn coal, we embrace nuclear energy. We stop paying people to stay at home instead of actually getting people back to work. We reform the U.S. Federal Reserve, restoring the stability of the dollar as the sole mandate for the U.S. Fed. We shut down most of the regulations that shackle businesses across this country. That's how we revive economic growth. And what I've found in this country, growing up here for the last 37 years, is that we tend to be more proud of our country when we're making more money in that country. And it will be my job as the young guy in this race and who leads this country to make sure that the next generation of Americans is actually once again proud to be American. That is something we have missed for a long time to come, but we can give that to our next generation. I tell you, I grew up into a generation where we were taught to celebrate our diversity and our differences. So much that we forgot all of the ways we are really just the same as Americans, bound by a common set of ideals that set this nation into motion 250 years ago. I believe it deep in my bones that those ideals still exist. I believe it that we together can actually work together to revive them. Yes, we are going through hard times in this country. But I'll tell you the same thing that I tell to college campuses as I travel this country. Those are left-leaning audiences. This audience may lean a different way, but the message is the same. Our hardship is not a choice. Hardship is something that happens to us in life. But victimhood is a choice. And hardship is not the same thing as victimhood. We don't choose victimhood, we choose the other thing. That is what makes us American. E pluribus unum, we say for a reason. It means from many, one. That is what won us the American Revolution. That is what reunited us after the Civil War. That is what won us 2 world wars and the Cold War. That is what still gives hope to the free world. And if we can revive that dream over group identity and victimhood and grievance, then nobody in the world, not a nation, not a corporation, not a virus is going to defeat us. That is what American exceptionalism is all about. And that is what we together will revive to save this great nation. Thank you all. Love being here at Freedom Fest. God bless you. God bless your families. God bless our United States. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.